All right.
My friends, I have an incredible guest here with me today. Her name is Ellyn Ito. My beautiful friend, please introduce yourself to the audience.
Oh, thank you, Francesca. I'm so excited to be here. So I am Ellyn Ito, and probably like many of your listeners, I am one of those serial entrepreneurs. Status quo was never good enough for me. I'm not somebody you can put into a box, and I've finally come to terms with that. So I've unlearned many of the lessons I learned throughout my life, and I'm really learning how to chill out and honor my purpose and serve those around me.
Wow.
I'm also the CEO and co-founder of Innerstill. We are bringing electroceutical technologies, big word, electroceutical technologies.
Nutraceutical. Okay.
Yep. That inspire the body to heal from within and help people feel better, both mind, body, and soul.
You're talking my language, Ellyn, because I believe when you and I connected, I was talking about my yoga practice.
Yes.
And how I've practiced for a couple of decades now and what it's done for me, for my mind and body, more for my mind, right? And we were talking about stress and the different levels of stress, and especially today with all that we've been through. And I think you have some good suggestion and advice for our audience today, don't you?
Sure. Yeah. No, and this is one of the things. So stress and the stress response of the human body is something that has evolved over time. And when you were talking about yoga and how you came into it, one of the things that you do when you're doing yoga is you are doing breath work.
Yeah.
And you are in that breath work, you are actually improving your vagal tone.
Vagal tone. And so you told me about this. I'm like, tell me more.
Sure. So there's the longest nerve in your body, or a bundle of nerves, called the vagus nerve, and it's getting a lot of press lately. But it is responsible for transmitting all of the key messages from your brain to your body to your organs that control everything from the way you breathe to your heartbeat to your mood. It regulates mood. And so when you are in a state of stress, your vagus nerve becomes activated and sends signals to your body to be prepared to fight, flight, or flee, or freeze.
Okay.
And in doing so, that impacts your body physiologically.
Wow. Wow.
So when you are in a stress state and you are anxious, like many of us are, your heart beats faster, your muscles tense up. You can't, sometimes you think very clearly for a moment, but when you're in chronic stress, you sometimes get clouded brain. And your body just doesn't function as efficiently as it could if you were in a state of what they call rest and digest, or relaxation.
Interesting. You know, it's interesting as I'm listening to you during the yoga practice, one of the sayings that the instructors have been telling us, if you're out of breath, do less. And that's kind of what we're saying here. But it's really hard to do less when we're stressed out about our environment, because we feel the need to do more.
Yes.
So it's this practice that we're saying here.
Yes.
Right.
And kind of going back, I mentioned in my intro, unlearning some of those lessons you've learned.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
Life, right. You learn these from your parents and society, and you have to be successful. They have definitions for what successful means. And in that drive, you are pushing yourself forward. And as long as that feels good, that's great.
Right. Right.
But when it is at odds with what you like to do or want to do, and you're stressed, and then you combine everything that's going on in the world, the pandemic, things happening in the world, floods, all
right, weather, the economy,
yes.
Right? What's happening in your neighborhood, violence, fraud. It's
all
freaking us all out.
Yes, all those little things become those things that are scary and add stress.
Yep. Yeah.
And so being able to take a step back, and this is so hard, right? People hear about things to manage stress. Do yoga, meditate, do breath work, go for a jog or a walk. For many people who are in a state of stress, it's really difficult to sit down and be quiet with themselves for 10 minutes, much less
right.
a minute.
That's right.
And so it's easy to reach for a drink, that kind of numbs the feelings,
Right.
which is, I'm not critical of drinking. It's just imbalance,
Right.
or reaching for drugs. And these are one way in the short term to manage the issue.
Right.
But
That's
over
right.
the longer term, to be so that you don't have these compounding side effects, learning how to manage your state or finding tools to manage your rest and relax state is really important.
It's really important, which I feel that perhaps we can make a suggestion. Like you said, when we're in a state, if we're not accustomed to a meditation or yoga and don't have access to it for whatever reason, we've never been exposed to it, no one in our life does that sort of thing. What can we offer then, Ellyn, to the listeners? Where can they start?
Well, I guess where they can start is to be kind to
Mm.
yourself. Don't beat yourself up because you can't be quiet in your mind for a minute.
Right.
Recognize that you're in a state of stress, and that's okay for now, and that you will get through it. If you just start with that, that's just one step to being able to putting your stress into context. And so often putting your stress into context is a really great step forward. So just don't beat yourself up. Recognize you're worried or you're anxious or you're freaking out about something. Know that it'll pass.
Right. It's a moment in time, right,
Yeah.
Ellyn? It's a moment in time, knowing that it's not our whole life. Maybe it's the whole day, and then things move on.
Yes.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's not to say, I mean, there are some real traumas that people are managing through and dealing with.
Absolutely.
And if you can get some help, get some help.
Right.
And in the short term, do what you need to do so you can manage through the tools. But there are some other things that you can do as well that maybe don't
Please.
require quieting the mind.
Okay.
Simple things like stretching, just as simple for 10 seconds, moving your head to the side, taking a breath. And doing these simple things can be difficult in the moment.
Right.
Moving, looking up, looking down. There are a number of different exercises that you can do to just kind of help yourself in the moment.
Love
But
that.
these are some of the technologies that my company is bringing to market, so that we can get people to help them access that ability to think clearly and to come out of that state of panic.
Yep.
And there's been quite a bit of research out there around the electrical stimulation, very microcurrent stimulation of points along the vagus nerve that help to create a little bit of energy action potential that helps to inspire the release of certain hormones that then help to calm and help people think in a more balanced way.
Right.
And
I love that.
Yes.
So, and also what I read in the research, Ellyn, was it's different than acupuncture, correct?
Sure. Yeah, it is different. It's slightly different than acupuncture. So the product that we'll be bringing to market actually stimulates acupressure points on the earlobes.
Okay.
And at points, and then it stimulates the vagus nerve at the ear and the neck. But acupuncture is often thought of as the needles helping to inspire the movement of energy, or using acupressure points to move energy around. It's more related to the acupressure points, which is inspiring the movement of energy.
This is so fascinating, and it couldn't come at a better time with, like we mentioned a few moments ago, with all that's going on in the world, with all the things that we hold on to personally. And I'm with you, which is why I believe we connected so well initially, because I've also had to redefine success, right? After leaving corporate, there's a whole different way of looking at life. And the acceptance, right? That was a title, not my identity.
Yes.
And my success is driven by different things today. But those were major adjustments that I've had to make. And with stress, of course, because life goes on and things happen. We lose people, right? So things, like I said, this could not be timed, this research and understanding more. What one more piece of perhaps, or something else that we can offer. So we said something how like turning the head and breathing. Is there one more thing that we can offer to the audience that they can practice?
Gosh, so we talked about when we talked earlier, one of the things that people may have heard about, but it's this use of electronic devices. And I see people kind of maybe rolling their eyes out there right now because
Right.
we hear how bad they are. But physiologically, I'll explain a little bit about what's going on with it. So first of all, looking at computer or your screen, this emits blue light. There is a ton of research around how that interferes with quality of sleep.
Right.
So you're not getting you may be sleeping just as long, but your quality of sleep is interrupted.
That's right.
Then you couple that with the microdoses of dopamine that you're getting when you're going through your feed. You're looking at a video or TikTok or Instagram or checking your email. You're getting these little microdoses of dopamine that is actually serving to downregulate your body's own natural dopamine production that might otherwise occur when you're looking at a beautiful landscape or looking at something that makes you happy otherwise. It actually downregulates your dopamine production.
Wow.
So that when you are away from your phone, and I think about this epidemic of kids who are struggling with mood disorder, they've been raised on electronic media.
That's
but
right.
you put down your phone, you're not getting that stimulus anymore. And you suddenly start to feel a little bit anxious. So when you go to sit down to work on that report, you think, oh my gosh, I must be dumb. I must have ADHD. Right? You're trying to explain this all away with some condition that you're using to define yourself. When the reality is, you're just missing some of that feel-good hormone. So be aware of that. This is one thing I tell people all the time. They get sick of me talking about this, but be aware of that. When you put down your phone or turn off your computer and you're feeling a little bit anxious, it's because you're missing a given hormone. So be aware. Then go outside, know what's happening with you. Take a moment to think about something that makes you feel good. Think about your kids, unless they're teenagers, in which case they might stress you out, but think about something that makes you feel good so that you get some of that production back in order. And it might take a little bit because you're used to getting it elsewhere. The other thing that people don't know is that when you're in dopamine deficit or dysfunction, it's really easy to reach for those foods that feed you a quick rush of dopamine. Those are sugar, carbohydrate, all of the stuff that you try and avoid. And so it's not that your willpower is bad. Like people beat themselves up all the time. Oh, I ate that bagel. It's not that. It's just that you are having a real physiological craving.
Wow.
So part of moving beyond that is being aware of what's going on. And again, being kind to yourself, taking baby steps. Or not taking steps, just knowing that you'll get through it.
Yep. I love that. Is such amazing guidance and advice. Awareness is key. So my intention is people listen to this, Ellyn, and if they didn't have the awareness, maybe now this is what can help them, right? Yeah. Find it, become aware that what their cell phones are doing, right? And moving on. So thank you so much. And if I were to ask a question, in all of this incredible work that you get to do you have a favorite piece of clothing or accessory? And how does it make you feel?
Yeah. So my favorite accessory is actually this little pendant I'm wearing.
It's beautiful.
It belonged to my grandmother, who also did not fit into a box, was never satisfied with the status quo, but it means long, healthy life.
Oh,
And I received it from her when she transitioned, and it just makes me feel closer to the spirit of the universe.
oh, that is so beautiful. It's a beautiful pendant. Um, oh, that is tremendous. I can barely ask you the last question because I'm so moved by that. But what a great conversation that we've had today, Ellyn. If someone wanted to continue talking with you, where's the best place for them to find you?
Sure. LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, Ellyn
Great.
Ito. Through the website, you can send a message there. But I could go on for hours. So, and I can direct people to certain resources and the science
Great.
behind it. So happy to have a conversation.
All right. Well, this has been incredible. I'll put those links in the show notes to make it nice and easy for people to find you because this is incredible information. I love where your company is headed and all the work that it's done so far. It's certainly enlightened me today. So thank you for your time. You're a rock star, Ellyn.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you very much.